The biggest thing that prepared me for growth in my life wasn't a promotion, it wasn't an MBA, it wasn't a leadership role. It was selling right on the streets of Lagos as a contract staff. Hi there, I'm Fola. If you're interested in career, leadership, and personal growth, then you're in the right place. Sometimes I get questions like, what prepared me for growth? People often expect me to mention a course, a leadership role, a mentorship, a certification, or a management role. But in all honesty, it was none of this. I started preparing for growth long before I even had the title. I started my career as a contract staff on a sales team in one of the leading e-commerce companies in Nigeria. Every day, we're out on the streets selling. When I reminisce on this, I could have complained that the sun was hot, the weather was not friendly, the work was demanding, rejection was constant. But strangely, I never saw it as any of this. I didn't see it as suffering. I saw it as a classroom. But one thing kept bothering me. How were some consistently outperforming the rest of us? And honestly, I wasn't interested in competing with them. I just needed to understand them. So I started watching. I paid attention to where they went, how they speak to customers, and how they plan their day. I noticed something that completely changed how I approach work up till today. They weren't working hard, they were working smart. While some of us were out on the streets trying to generate leads from the scratch, the top performers would follow the delivery guys. Think about it. If someone is receiving a delivery, it means they have already bought before, so they are familiar with the company. So the top performers will introduce themselves, create a relationship, and build a pipeline from people who had already shown interest. That moment was quite insightful. And from then on, I never forget that hard work is important. But if you don't learn to work smart, you keep putting in twice the efforts for half the results. Not long after that, I got another opportunity. I became a social media manager for a boutique on Lagos Island. Now, this one excited me because I've always loved fashion, right? Responding to orders was my job. But whenever I had free time, I walk around the store, I re-merchandise, I would look at the mannequin and start thinking, what can I do with this mannequin? What if we style these pieces differently? Some outfits were not moving, customer traffic into the store had reduced. So I started putting different combinations on the mannequin. Meanwhile, nobody asked me to. It wasn't in my job description. I just enjoyed doing it. So one day, my boss walked into the store and looked at the mannequin and said, who styled this? I remember everybody looking around. When she found out it was me, she smiled, commended me, and eventually added visual merchandising to part of my responsibilities. What I thought that I was just helping out with became a new role for me. But there's another interesting part. I had formed a habit of always taking pictures of every mannequin I style. I never realized how valuable this habit would become. Honestly, this was not because I wanted to impress anybody. I just really wanted to document my work and sometimes go back to it and be appealed at the works of my hands. Months later, I got a call from a company who was inviting me for an interview. I didn't even know who they were at the time. So during the interview, they asked me about my fashion experience. Instead of just talking, I brought out my phone and started showing them pictures of the mannequin I had styled. I'll never forget their reaction. They looked at me and asked, you did this? And immediately, I knew something had shifted. Those pictures spoke louder than my CV ever could. That interview led me into a new role with a multinational fashion business. And from there, my career kept growing. Looking in hindsight, none of those experiences were random. Selling on the street taught me strategy. Watching top performers taught me to stay curious. Styling mannequins taught me to take initiative. Taking pictures taught me to document my work. And every single one of those experiences prepared me for opportunities that I didn't even know were coming. That's why I tell people, never despise where you are today. Don't spend so much time wishing for the next opportunity and fail to maximize the one you're currently in. Sometimes the job you think is temporary is actually preparing you for a career you build. At times, the responsibility is not always in your job description, but is what distinguishes you from everyone else. And sometimes, the small habits you think nobody notices today becomes the reason someone gives you your biggest opportunities tomorrow. Leadership didn't begin when I became a manager. Leadership began the moment I decided to learn from every room I walk into, the ownership I took without being asked, and to leave every place better than I met it. Not the title, it was the habits. That was what prepared me for growth. So if you're watching this and this season feels small, maybe you're in a job you don't like, maybe you're underpaid, maybe you feel overlooked, or you're simply wondering when your big break will come, I'd say don't waste the season. Learn everything you can, observe people who are doing better than you, take initiative when nobody asks you to, document your work, build skills that nobody can take away from you, because one day someone would ask, what experience do you have? And then you'd realize everything you thought was insignificant was preparing you for that moment. What's one experience you've had looking back now prepared you for where you are today? I'll read them and I'll genuinely love to hear your story.